on your minds? Any topics that got you pondering?
I got a quick question, Dave.
Yeah, of course.
Do you use any of the resource materials like the SSA Almanac or the expense report, or you just rely on your portfolio operations for that type of information?
Yeah, I had I think somebody asked about that or posted that yesterday, interestingly enough. Out of curiosity, where did that come up? Was someone talking about it?
No, I've been thinking about it, and I went to the Vegas SSA conference a couple years ago, and saw information on it, and I through Storage Rebellion, I've seen a couple guys over the last year or so mentioned it, and I didn't know how useful it is if you've used it at all or not.
I haven't, but it's funny that you bring this up because somebody in our coaching program brought this up yesterday, and I'll find out, where he got the information. I do have a friend, Rob DeBrock. He buys this every year, and he essentially what he likes to use it for is just like general market data. Like what is the general feeling around certain topics? For instance, inside of there, they have updates on financing, or they have updates on like marketing strategies that seem to be working, that different players are deploying, customer data, things like that, right? So kind of some general stuff, but it's for last year or for like some period of time, like whatever the trends that are seeing. So I think I don't know, it's like $200 or something like that to buy it for the year. It's probably not a bad investment, to be honest, to get that and to just absorb what's in there, just to be part of the industry and to be part of understanding what's going on at the bigger picture, like the higher level. The thing that it also includes that maybe isn't as connected to the type of deals that all of us are doing. Hey, John, good to see you, buddy. Is um, like if we're buying smallish mom and pops in third tier markets, that Storage Almanac isn't necessarily paying attention to that particular submarket. They're paying attention to the bigger, broader picture. And one of the things that sort of throws that for a loop a little bit is some of the REITs and some of the bigger operators, like they're just very aggressive on their pricing, and that aggressive on their pricing leads to what would be categorized in like the almanac as like suppressed rental rates, when realistically it's just a strategy to get people in and then they raise the rents, right? Stuff like that. So it's maybe I'm sound like it's not a good idea to go take a look at it. I think it's probably not a bad idea to pull down some of the information that's in there. I don't think I would use it to make any business decisions. What I would instead rely on is, what is that market, that facility that I'm underwriting or that facility that I'm operating? What does that market tell me around supply demand, around the customers, around the other facilities in the market? What does their occupancy look like? Things like that, by doing the work in that submarket that I'm actually participating in or that I'm potentially going to buy something in. I think it covers everything, and that's not a bad thing. It's just not specific enough to my game plan, right? Or my playbook. But I also believe on the other side, and is that the more knowledge that we can gain about this industry just in general is probably not a bad thing. It's probably a very good thing. And there's probably stuff we can pick up in there that bigger operators are doing, marketing strategies, things like that, that maybe we could try in smaller markets because they're not there and we are, and we can maybe differentiate ourselves a little bit in that market. Anybody on the call have it? John, I don't know, or Harry or Chantel, you guys ever looked at one, or do you buy it, the self-storage almanac?
I haven't.
I have not.
Yeah, neither have I. Maybe I should. Maybe I'll buy it and I'll let you guys know what I think. It's I think it was the tool before everything became digital, because it's been out there for, I think, since like the early 90s or something like that, every year printed. And so this used to be like the Bible that if you were a storage operator that you would go pick up and use to help build, hey, well, to help build your portfolio or to make business decisions about what's going on in self-storage as an industry. I just think it's become so dynamic and so specific to the market and the dependencies of that market that the general data is probably not as relevant as doing your own homework, but there's probably also some things in there that we could learn from for sure.
Yeah, they also have a expense report that's digital format, and it's a lot less. And one thing that was intriguing to me is broken down, regionally. So, like you say, up in the northern part of the U.S., you got to worry about snow removal and stuff like that. So, and then probably taxes in different areas, you might be able to clarify that a little better. So.
Cool. Maybe I'm looking at it right now, 174 to 250 bucks. Oh, 174, 199 if you want the print, you want a real book, like to flip pages. Actually, probably wouldn't mind that. Or you can get the combo for 254. You get the digital and the physical print copy. Probably worth looking at, to be honest. I just never have. I've always just depended upon what I can dig up in the market. That seems to have worked for me. But maybe I'm leaving some things on the table. Maybe I'm leaving some info on the table there that I could tap into. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. Looks like there's a pretty decent amount of contributors to the Almanac every year, which is cool. Radius Plus is in there, Open Tech Alliance, Janus, bunch of brokers, Store Track, Yardi. Okay. I just think of a bunch, for whatever reason, I connotate like an almanac, right? Like to the farmer's almanac. It's like been around since the 1700s or whatever. And what I think about is like, some like conference room table, a bunch of folks that bought storage in the 80s and 90s sitting around trying to like write up what's going on and not being as modern. But it looks like they actually have some pretty decent contributors in there that are helping build that out every year. We'll take a look. Look at that. We've got somebody in here called YB. YB, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for jumping in. It's like a secret cloak name. Love it. What else we got? Who else got questions? Who's got a win? So let's talk. Something cool that's going on.
I have a question, Dave. I was wondering what to consider when leaving a management company. Like, what are like any obstacles, and like if it's a easy thing to do, or
And are you leaving
any-
to go to another management company, or give me some more context on that, please.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so I bought the facility in January. It was like 22% occupancy, and I just didn't want to deal with like turning it around and all that stuff,
Yep.
and like notifying the new owner. So I hired a management company. In the first 5 months or 6 months was 500 a month, and then it goes to 1,000.
Yep.
And they've been all right. They don't include the boots in the ground. It's just all like virtual phone calls, emails, websites, all that stuff.
Yep.
And they've got it from like 22% up to like 47%. It's largely just all Sparefoot. They're just marketing on Sparefoot and getting like 5 leads a month or 5 move-ins or so a month. So I figured I could just do that myself and just kind of be able to make more profits. I already have a virtual assistant for my other business. So I was just thinking of having her handling it alongside like my wife and I, because it's not much, it's like 4 calls a month. I was looking at like their management report.
Well, it might be more calls than that, but they may not convert, but still, it sounds like it's a small number.
Yes, very small.
Okay. Yeah. I have moved from management companies multiple times. I started with ESS. They used to have a call center product. I think they still have a call center product. Then that turned into a different call center product, which I was very unhappy with. So I moved to Moody Management. They're great. And just to put it in perspective, Moody, very big fan of them. I don't know what their current pricing is. Maybe somebody on the call does, but they're about $4 a door, and they manage everything, including your boots on the ground. Like, you have to hire that person, but they'll communicate with them and make sure that they're doing the work on that kind of stuff. If anybody wants an intro, just let me know, and I'm happy to put you on a thread with Mike, the owner. He's great. Very good friend of mine. But I did move off of Moody because I just brought everything in house. And so I've done this a couple of times. And I wouldn't say the most important thing is the phone number at the end of the day. Like, that is the number one piece of information or data or tool, whatever you want to call it. Like, if they have your phone number, you need to make sure that you can get that back from them. So, Harry, do they have your phone number, or are you using their phone number? Do you forward to a number they gave you? Like, how does that part work?
It's the phone number was mine, but they made me port it to their provider.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. And I put in the contract before I signed it. I own all the IP, like the website, the storage, software, all that stuff.
Yeah, perfect. And are you just like an ESS or something like that?
I think, honestly, I don't look at it that much, but it's called, like, the invoice says Storable Edge.
Oh, you're on StoreEdge. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's just for, and I know your deal. So, a couple of ideas for you. First idea is that the fact that they don't have your phone number is a great thing, because now you can just forward that to wherever you want that to land, which could be your mobile phone, right? And that's either you can manage that inside of your phone provider's account, or you can call them and set up a forward to your number. And like, that happens kind of instantaneously. So just know that whenever you're ready to do that, you're able to do that. StoreEdge, I would say, like, if I was thinking about a facility like the one that you bought, there's kind of like tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 facilities. I'm sharing my screen right now just in case. I know you're probably in the car, but for others that are on the call, they'll see it. If you can see it, great. Tier 1 would be like for bigger operators and more sophisticated operators. And then because of that, there's a significant amount of cost that typically comes with those. And I would put StoreEdge in that bucket. You're probably paying at least 2, maybe even 3 times what you might pay if you move to ESS, just as a separate note, right?
Okay. I pay like $128 a month.
Oh, okay. Then you're probably on ESS then. ESS, StoreEdge, SiteLink are all owned by Storable. Storable is a private equity company that bought up all kinds of different services, including Sparefoot, including selfstorage.com, payroll process or payment processing. They bought the company that ESS used to use. They bought ESS. They just did a roll up of all these different single, niche solutions and put them into a platform called Storable. And so if you're paying $128 for StoreEdge, that's interesting, because usually they're typically like 2 to 3 times higher than ESS, or it's now called Easy Storage versus Easy ESS. They just go with, it's called Easy, like no storage, just Easy by Storable. So take a look at that. But if you're happy with it and you're paying $128, then that's a negligible cost in terms of cost of software, then you're good. You just need to know how to use it and essentially remove that. So there's 2 things. One is forward the number to you. Second thing is remove them as a user on the account and make sure that you or your wife are added as users so that you guys can log in and, manage the accounts and make the changes and do that kind of stuff.
Got it.
And they have training and they have, videos, and they have all the stuff that you're going to need to watch to learn how to use how to rent a unit, how to set up. And they probably have all this already set up in your software, which is, triggers for late fees and payments and fee income and, all that jazz. That's probably, it's just all set up as a one-time thing inside your account. And then, you're just going to need to learn how to use some of that stuff, but you're a smart guy. It'll take you probably an hour to figure that all out.
Okay. Awesome.
Usually where the gotchas come in that scenario is when they're hosting your number, meaning you signed up with a third-party manager. They said, great, here's the phone number for you. And it's like their phone number. Then when you leave, they're like, yeah, you can't take that number with you, unfortunately. And that can turn into ugly, because if that's like the number that's been promoted everywhere, that's obviously on your website and all those things you can change. But if that's been integrated into things that they've done that are out in the public domain that you don't necessarily have control over, that could be problematic. Are they managing your Google My Business profile?
This should, but like it just got approved now. It took forever because
Oh, wow.
Google made me like verify it and stuff. So it may be included, but nothing's been done because it just got approved like a day ago.
Got you. So that right there is probably going to help you with move-ins. But although the 20, call it 25% increase over, call it a 6-month period, what's that, about 3.5% a month? That's actually about exactly what the average is in a market. Like if you're going to go in a lease up and you have like a somewhat stabilized market where maybe supply demand is equal, about 3% a month is what one should expect. So I feel like you're probably actually doing pretty good there.
Okay, and that 3 to 4% like occupancy increases?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's kind of standard, right? That's like, if I was to underwrite a deal, that's what I would average. I would average probably 2 to 3% a month in a market that had like somewhat favorable supply demand economics and a square foot per capita things, demographics, things like that.
Got it. Would I adjust downwards for winter?
Yeah, typically.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spring and fall, you're going to be like spring and summer are going to be like the months where you'll rent the most number of units, and then wintertime you'll rent the least number of units for sure. Remind me, is that deal that was in Missouri? Is that right?
Yes, Jackson, Missouri.
Yeah. So you're not going to have too crazy a winters like I might have myself in West Fargo, North Dakota, as an example. Like our monthly rentals will drop off by over half in the winter, just because it's 10 degrees below zero on some days. Some days, weeks on end doesn't get above zero. There's a foot of snow everywhere. It's just people don't want to go outside. So the good news is that if you get people in before winter, then their likelihood of them moving out during the winter is close to zero, because it's cold and who wants to go do that? So there's a whole strategy there. If you ever want some help, just let me know, man. I can share with you what we do during the winter to make sure that we're optimizing the facility and providing value to the customers and that kind of stuff.
Okay, great. And then the owner that I bought it from, he told me in winter he doesn't remove the snow because he's like, who the hell's going to the storage facility? And I was just thinking, hey, you're kind of right. Like, what's your take on that? Like, if I just leave the snow there, or is that
bad
dumb?
idea?
Bad
idea.
Okay.
Liability issue, shitty customer service. That's why that guy had 22%. If I'm being real honest.
Yeah, that's true too.
That sort of mindset is very broken and not customer centric. And I think the customer centric point of view should be the way that we think about this business. This business has it's very easy in storage to pigeonhole the whole industry into like this dirty, seedy, screw those customers. Like they're just renting. Like it's very easy for it to fall into that sort of category. And I just operate completely different. Like if you guys, any one of you call any of my facilities right now, you probably would freak out over the level of customer service, the level of attentiveness, the level of my goal, and I tell this to my team every week, I want people to hang up the call and ask themselves a question like, what the hell just happened? How is that a storage facility? How is it that they're that friendly, that they're that over the top in customer service, that they cared that much? And I'm not discounting things. I'm not giving away stuff for free. It's just the way that we communicate with people and the type of amenities that we offer. I want to, people that are using storage are dealing with problems, and I want to give them something that is easy to deal with, favorable in terms of pricing and fair, but also a product that they feel safe and feel comfortable with. And if I showed up at my storage facility and there's 4 feet of snow and I can't get in to go get my son's, whatever that he needs for something, that's a problem. Like that's a shitty way to do business. It really is.
Agreed. Yeah, no, you're right.
So write the check, dude. Hire a local company, have them go move the snow out. It's not that expensive. It'll take them 10 minutes and you'll have happier customers.
No, you're right. You're definitely right. Speaking of like what you just said, well, like people will be shocked with your customer service and stuff. Like, what is it? Just like enthusiastic
Yeah.
phone call person?
Yeah. We don't answer the phone like we're pissed off that you called, which happens a lot. Like any of us right now, I could randomly dial a self-storage facility and I'll probably get somebody that's mad or bothered, or like, you're bothered that I'm calling you to rent a storage unit. It happens all the time. Like 5 out of 10 calls that you would make right now, some grumpy manager is going to answer the call if it's not a call center. And so I just want to change that dynamic. I want, in that market that I'm in, I want this to be like a wow experience when they call.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Because that turns into them letting their friends know. When I ask them for a 5-star review, they're like, yeah, for sure. Our team has collected 141 5-star reviews in the last 12 months. That's our 12-month running average, right? Or not average, but our running. We do a 12-month, a 12-year look back every month over the number of reviews that we've added and like, what is that sort of number? And it's growing very, very quickly. And that only happens because people are happy to do that, right? And we ask them, we're not incentivizing them. We're not giving them $5 credit on their account. I've tried all that stuff. And then what I realized is like treating them with courtesy, being professional, solving their problem, doing it in a professional way with a smile on our face through the phone, and then asking for that is the golden ticket to make that happen. And now, because of all the reviews and essentially every market that we're in, if you type in self-storage Somerset, Kentucky, we're the #1 option on Google because we have more 5-star reviews than anybody else in the market.
Wow, smart.
So it all comes back to that customer service stuff, man. I think it's widely overlooked. I think it's something that is super easy to do and something that is desperately needed because people are dealing with stuff and we want to help them.
For sure.
Yep.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, Sant. So Sant asked a question. By the way, thank you for dropping the question into chat. If others have questions, chat is 100% the best place to drop it. While I'm maybe answering one other question, feel free to drop that in. So Sant asked a question. Dave, can you talk about your in-house call management? What's the setup? I imagine calls are routed via Grasshopper call rail, but who handles the calls? So so at storage facility number 4, I hired a mentor to help me think bigger. And what that mentor showed me and what that mentor taught me was that in order for me to really set my business up for scale, to go from at that point 4 facilities to 50 or to 20 or whatever the goal is, mine's 20 or more at the moment, is that I need to bring my systems, my processes, and my team in-house. And there was 2 reasons for that. One was, A, it was more cost effective to the business. B, there's great people out there that are willing and able and very capable of being your boots on the ground manager, your operations manager, and your call center manager. So I set out to do that. That's when I said a little while ago, when I canceled call centers, this is when I did that. And the first person I hired was an operations manager. And what that person did was they take everything off of my plate on the day-to-day management. It took about a month and a half to train him. And I'll come back to where I found him and all that good stuff here in a sec. It took about a month and a half to train him. And then everything flowed to him. He makes every decision. Now he's been with me for a year and a half. He's amazing. I feel like God dropped an angel in my lap because he's amazing. And I take very good care of him. I pay him very well. And he runs everything. He runs my auctions. When he got started, he took all the calls, but he was also in charge of things like weekly reporting and KPI management and things like that. All of that is still there, but now he manages all of the rate management every month. And I've just given him the blueprint on how to do that. He manages all of the any issues with call centers. He pays all the bills. He has access to, I've got a credit card for each account or a bank card for each business that he has access to that has a daily spend limit on it. He puts out all the fires, puts out all the problems, does all the auctions, sends the certified mail through Postalocity, does everything. He is my day-to-day manager of the entire facility, all 8 of them. And then it was almost a year, I think in August, it'll be a year. So Luis did that for 6 months. Actually, take that back. He did that for a year. And what I told him is when we bought storage facility number 6, then we would hire a call center agent. Then he would back away from managing the phones and everything else and just managing the business every day. Because now the business is going to get a little more complicated as we grew. And we hired a call center agent. His name's Alni. Alni is a high-spirited, high-energy, very appreciative, customer service oriented type of person. And he takes all of the calls Tuesday through Saturday. And Luis takes all the calls on Mondays. And then Luis works Monday through Friday. Alni is Tuesday through Saturday. And I had to make the business decision that we don't have coverage on Sunday. Although I'm using an AI agent with a company that I'm advising right now in StoreEdge tools. And they've built a custom AI agent. So if you call one of my facilities on a Sunday right now, you'll have a full-blown conversation with a piece of AI that will help you out to cover all of the hours that we're not open. So 6 o'clock onward every day. And then on Sundays all day when no one's answering the phone. And then my tech stack behind all of that is Zoom. So for those of you that know, I was a VP of sales essentially at Zoom up until August of last year. Running the mid-market sales division. I think their product is the best in market. I use it for my call center. We use it for chat. We use it for clips, which is like Loom. We use it for scheduling, which is like Calendly. So I have a whole tech stack that's underneath that team. And we communicate everything on Zoom. The chat that we use, we have channels set up. Each channel is for each facility. And on that channel is me, Luis, and the boots on the ground for that facility. They all have Zoom on their mobile phones. It's on the homepage. They have notifications turned on. So when we have Luis say, hey, unit number 27 just moved out, then he sends it over to the channel where that facility is, and that boots on the ground will get that message, do the things that we need them to do when we want to get that unit ready to rent, and then replies back to that message that the unit's ready to rent. And they include a picture, and in that picture has to be the gift bag that has a copy of the lease and the lock that we give them when they rent a unit with us. And so that's the process that we use. And again, Zoom powers all of that. Obviously, we have meetings. The cool part about Zoom is that Luis can get on a phone, get on a Zoom call with any of our boots on the ground at any time to actually see a problem in real time, to figure out like how he's going to solve that problem. So he takes care of all of that. Then Luis and I have a meeting on Monday morning, and we have a meeting on Friday afternoon. We open the week and we close the week. And then obviously we're in contact with each other throughout the week. He has a series of reports that he needs to deliver to me. Every single day, I want a move in, move out report. And so we have a format for that. He sends that through chat. Every week he sends out a weekly wrap up from the week before, and that's to me, Alni, and him. And we celebrate that because if we have a great week of rentals or net rentals, we want to high five each other, and we just build a culture of winning and building this business together. And here's the kicker. Both Luis and Alni live in Nicaragua. I found them through a third-party company called Hire Latam. If anybody ever needs a recommendation or a referral to them, I'm buddies with their CEO, so I can help you out. Very, very cool company. They're just a recruiter. But we hired Latin American talent who are in the central time zone of the United States and can cover East Coast, West Coast pretty easily without it being, middle of the night like it would be in the Philippines. And that was also an option. And I've just found that the people here are incredibly loyal, highly talented, have a great work ethic, and are just dang good people. And that's who I want on my team. And it's working out extremely well. I'm so grateful that I landed with who I landed with, and having a lot of success with them. And I'm looking for ways to give all of them more work, but we've got some incentives and some bonus programs in there to keep people busy and keep them excited about doing certain things. Small example is that we ask and require on every call of somebody that's renting. We ask them, shouldn't say require. I require them to ask is a better way to say it, but they need to rent. They need to ask if the customer would be open to paying for the entire year up front. So annual payments, they get 2 months free if they pay for 10. So they get 12 months for the price of 10. And I will pay Alney a 10% bonus, and I pay Luis a 5% bonus for making that happen. So I pay 15% bonus cash to those guys in order for us to get those. And we don't get a ton of them, but we got 2 of them last month. And why is that a big deal? Because in this business, cash on cash return and cash payment is a very, very big deal. A, it reduces churn, and B, it is a big injection potentially. Like last month, we had, almost $2,000 at one facility of cash injection for 2 customers. Now, yes, I'm not going to collect the $80 a month from them or whatever, $90 a month from them for the next 2 years, but that's 2 customers out of 200. And it's not like it's negligible at the end of the day, but I got all that cash today. That allows me to make business decisions and use that money to improve the facility or, get more technology or invest in things like whatever that might be. I pay both of them very well. And the beautiful thing is that we've scaled now from Alney at 6 facilities to 8 now. And I haven't had to add an extra body. If I was paying a third-party call center, I would pay 1.5 times what I'm paying right now to Alney and to Luis. And what I pay them is more, like what I pay Luis is equal or better than what a lawyer or a doctor would be making on a monthly basis in Nicaragua. And Alney is making 2 times more than what the average wage would be in that market. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to go offshore is I wanted to make some impact. I wanted to change some lives. I wanted to create opportunity for folks that are grateful and good human beings and want to be part of my business. So that's why I decided to go that route. Sant, that was a long rant for your question there, but I love it. I appreciate it. And I love talking about the tech, and it's my background. So I love talking about it and what we've done there. So hopefully that helps out a little bit and you guys get some value out of that. And obviously you got to have a facility for that to manifest and for that to be an option. But if you keep going, it's probably a pretty good place for you to learn how to do that. Sant had a question, maybe not maybe more of a comment. My guess is Storable hasn't increased his rate in their overall market. That happened to me with some legacy. Yeah, probably.
I'm just wrapping up here with going non-viewable, but I'd love an intro to the Latin American.
You got it, man.
Recruiter.
I'll do that right when we get done with the call. Absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, they're great, dude. It's about $2,000 one time. Don't quote me on that. It might be a little bit more, but it's around $2,000 one time recruiting fee. Hold on, I'm just writing down a note here so I don't forget. One time payment, 90-day guarantee on the candidates. And what they do is kind of cool is they're going to do a disc profile on you, and then they're going to do a disc profile on all the candidates, and they're going to find ones that are the right for the role, but also match your style as well. Like if you have 2 high, high D's or high I's, then you're going to have clash, and you're going to have empathy too much on both sides. So like, how do we create complement? Like, it's great. Luis is my integrator, and I'm kind of like the visionary. I can think of, like, we just met yesterday and came up with a strategy on some things. And he's like, Dave, you're always thinking of great ideas. And then this morning he chatted me and he's like, hey, that thing from yesterday, it's all implemented and done. Like, he goes and does it because he likes doing that stuff, because that's who he is as a person. And then for me, I don't like doing, I'm going to say this sort of tongue in cheek. I like thinking, and then I like seeing the thing that I thought about happen, and maybe not all the time me doing all the work to make that happen. And Luis loves that, right? So it's like a perfect little come together. But they'll deliver you 3 candidates. They'll deliver you, and by the way, this same company can hire, for anybody on the call, cold callers, you want people to underwrite deals for you, like whatever, like they can hire anybody. And if you have other businesses, Harry as an example, or others on the phone that have small businesses, like their main business is like back office support for small business in the US. It's not specific to self-storage by any means. And but but they'll deliver you 3 candidates that are pre-qualified based on your requirements, based on their disc profile, and based on a role play that they do with that candidate as your business. They record that, share that with you, and then you can watch all these different role plays and be like, hey, I like Sarah, Joe, and Bill. I want to interview those people. And then you take over from there and decide which person you want to go with. They manage the whole process all the way to you making an offer and then setting up the payment process, which with me, with Luis, I use a third-party service called Remitly. And that's how we make payments to everybody every month. It's just a international, it's like Western Union, but international, essentially.
So I have some experience with this. I have somebody in the Philippines that does a lot of those tasks that you mentioned, not really self-storage, but cold calling and some bookkeeping type stuff. I have my negatives with, overseas hiring. I'd like to hear what are some of the negative? You listed a whole bunch of positives, which is great.
Oh, Sam, look at you. You're a sales guy.
Tell me about the negatives. There's not any, huh? Or
No. I don't think that there's anything negative. I'm trying to think of like the right way to frame this, because give you an example. Everybody there has an accent anywhere you go. That's not the US. I don't know if that's a negative, but to certain buyers or clients, that could be, right? Like you're going to have some like grumpy old person that's like, oh, I'm talking to somebody overseas. Like, screw you guys. I'm not renting from you. Maybe that happens. I have no idea. My rentals are up every week. I don't know if I'm losing rentals because of it, but I'm happy with my numbers. So I don't dig into that because I really don't care.
Yeah.
So sometimes like for those that know me, and maybe you've picked it up on the call, but like I'm an A personality, right? An A type. And sometimes when I'm communicating, or the way that I might have handled a call might be very different than the way they do, and I can provide them coaching. Again, there isn't like some negative or some gotcha. There just really isn't. Like, is there sometimes gaps in communication or gaps in understanding what it is that I'm actually saying, because it's not just a known thing in their environment or in their country even. You're going to have to teach people a little bit. Like if you're going to have an ops manager, like I had to go all the way down to, and I loved it, by the way, because it brought Luis closer to the business, but I taught him self-storage. I taught him what NOI was. I taught him why every rental and every minute and every improvement that they make that improves our occupancy, our economic occupancy, leads to the bottom line, and how the bottom line allows me to go back to a bank and take cash out and go buy another facility so that we can add another one to his management, which allows him to grow his team. Like I had to connect some dots there for them to understand why what they're doing with me is important, because they just thought that they were just like customer service people or just doing like the job that I asked them to do. Again, not a negative, but they're not connecting that dot in the beginning. Some of the business terms or some of the acronyms or some of the things that we might just kick around every day as just normal conversation will be all completely new to them. And you'll need to teach them what that stuff is and why it's important and how it impacts the business and why we want to think about stuff. So there have been some cases where pridefully they didn't understand, like Luis didn't understand exactly what I was asking. And so then that work didn't get done. And then when I followed up on it, he was like honest with me and be like, actually, I didn't really know what you were asking. I started kicking it around and then I got sidetracked and I went and did something else. So there's been a couple of those instances, but nothing like normal employee type of stuff. Like nothing that I'm like, oh, you're a bad operator. Like you're not good at what you do. I've never even actually had that thought in my head even for a second, because he's been pretty awesome. I mean, the stuff that you could deal with, like for instance, this is completely separate. I did hire a cold caller from the Philippines, and I was looking in the call, like this like months afterwards, and shame on me, but I was looking in the call logs months after we were like engaged and going, because every day I'd look to see how the volume of calls. He made like 50 to 60 outbound calls every day. Awesome. Cause we wanted like 250 a week. That was the goal. And he was making it all happen. Like, okay, cool. Like it's happening. Cool. Like things are going. And then I just happened to one day look into the call log report. And what I found was he would make like 10 calls in 10 minutes and then no calls for like the next 3 hours, and then 15 calls in 20 minutes, then no calls for like 3 hours, and then 15 calls in 10 minutes, and then 5 more calls an hour later. And then all of a sudden he had his 50, but he was literally working for like 35 minutes a day.
Mm.
And that was not at all what I had expected or thought would happen, because I come from like a world of sales where like you make a call, you shoot an email, you log your notes, you go to the next call, you go get a drink of water. Like there's 5 or 7 minutes you're kind of making a call, but you're doing it all throughout the day, especially when you're getting paid to make calls and you're not, and your goal is to schedule a meeting for me. And so I've never had those issues with Luis or with Alni at all. But I did have with a cold caller in the Philippines, and ultimately that didn't work out. I didn't fire him for that. I just changed the expectation because I realized I didn't set like a very clear expectation going in of exactly what I'm looking for. Because it's my first go at hiring somebody to do that. And they came from another, they came from another operator in the storage business where they were doing the same thing. And I just kind of assumed like, oh, just do what you were doing there. And I guess this is what they were doing. Long story short, it didn't work out primarily because I didn't give them very clear instructions, very clear set of expectations, what good looks like on a daily basis, and then how to report that information back to me so I can see that. So I have nothing negative to say about how the folks in Nicaragua have worked out. There hasn't been a gotcha of any kind.
Got it. No missed calls or anything like that from your.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. No, look, that's going to happen, dude. People go on lunch and they need to go to the bathroom and they need to go drink water. Things are going to happen. The thing is that the system that we have set up, for instance, in the Zoom desktop, if Alni misses a call, when he comes back, because he just has this sitting up all day on his computer, he can see like literally red says missed call, and he can click one button and call that person back if he does miss a call.
Okay.
So is it perfect? Absolutely not. I mean, I don't think there is a provider that is. You're going to have missed calls at a call center. You're going to have missed calls if you do it yourself. You're going to have missed calls if you hire some people, in-house. Going to happen.
Oh yeah, I understand like one or two, but if it was a consistent like everyday basis of where it's. See, the thing is I was using I also was using my VA in the Philippines as my backup person for. I have a main person that answers similar to you that answers the calls from 9 to 3. And she used to be that 9 to 3 person. I realized, wow, there's a flurry of missed calls between this 9 to 3. It's like, there's a tremendous amount every single hour. And then I got to thinking, and I was reading online that, that's like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon is really 1 o'clock in the morning for them. They more than likely are sleeping.
They might have just passed out in their chair.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So then I realized I need to rearrange her work. And then I realized, all right, she can't be the, the 9 to 3 person. That doesn't make any sense. 9 to 3 in the morning. So then I shifted around to a more reasonable time frame, and the number of missed calls has gone down.
Yep.
So
the way that we have it set up in Zoom is that every call starts with Alni. If he doesn't answer in 30 seconds, it goes to Luis. And if he doesn't answer in 30 seconds, it comes to me. And if I'm not here, I don't answer, I'm doing something else, then it goes to Alni's voicemail. So that we don't, whether or not they leave a voicemail or not, I don't know, but it now shows up as a missed call on everybody, and somebody's going to make a call back.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Worst case scenario. And that happens all the time. Like every now, I'll get at least once a day, I'll get something popping up on my screen for me to answer. And if I can, I'll just take it, because I just know that means that the other 2 guys are taking care of something else, which is great.
Did you have them both for like 40 hours a week? I know you stagger the hours, so 40 hours a week, and you stagger their hours, and then they're closed on Sundays. So, right? Is that what you're?
Yep.
Very good.
They're both my employees full time. I pay I pay a lot less than the call centers for the number of units that I have.
Yeah.
Let me do the math real quick. So I've got, oops.
I brought everything in house except for one of my facilities, similar to yours, and I'm on the fence of just taking the last facility and trying to just dividing it up between the 2 sources that I have, or maybe I'll have to bring on another person. Yep.
So I'm paying. So a call center is going to charge around $4 a door on average, and I just did the math. I'm paying $2.40. a door for my people. And that includes bonuses and things that I expect I'm going to pay them.
Yeah. Awesome.
About 30% savings. And I would say better discipline, better customer service because it's the way we want to do it, better data, and more attentive because it's us. Feels like more prideful because it's our company and those guys are part of it and they're a big piece of it.
Do you have a process in place when one of them says, "Hey, I'm going X, Y, and Z. I'll be gone for a week because of whatever"?
Yeah, I just jump on myself. I just changed the call routing. Like for instance, Alney's had a vacation, so he was gone for a whole week. So Alney separately, he is a freestyle. He competes in freestyle soccer. So if you guys ever seen those guys that do all the crazy tricks with the ball and they land it on their head and they do all this, like he's like the #1 Nicaraguan dude. So he travels all over the world every year, like twice for these crazy competitions. Kind of wild. If you look him up, like Alney, what's his last name? Alney Candler with a K, freestyle soccer on YouTube. There's all these videos and stuff of him doing all this crazy stuff with the soccer ball. It's kind of nuts. And it's like break dancing with the ball. It's kind of crazy. So he has to travel and do that. And when he does, Luis takes over for the week. Awesome. And then I'm the backup. And if it ends up on my desk, then cool. We just cover it. No big deal.
Cool.
And the same thing with Luis. If Luis is traveling, then on like Monday, I'll just rearrange because then it'll just be me. I'll be the one taking all the calls. And it's just, sometimes you have to do that. Great questions, y'all. Hey, I want to flip the script real quick. There's quite a few people on. Got like 10 minutes. These calls are great, but these calls are for folks that want to get started, right? Like, so Will or John or Chantel or Ashley, good to see you. Ali, good to see you. YB, don't know who you are, but I'm appreciate that you're here. I don't want to discount like some of the questions that we get because I think there's a lot of value in learning about what does it look like when you're in the business, but I also want to make sure that you're getting value out of these calls that help you get into the business, right? Or how to get started. I know Chantel and Will, you guys are in a different situation with me. So you're getting a lot of that. And I appreciate that you guys are showing up, but I definitely want these calls to be geared towards folks that are, in the business and wanting to get into the business and wanting to learn how to get started and how we can help you out. Because there's a lot of really good, Scott, myself, Tom, Harry has a facility. So there's some people here that have some collective experience. So if anybody has any questions that is in that boat, I'd love to make sure that we're getting you some time. And while you're maybe thinking about the question that you have, yeah, Scott, the pay for a year in advance never really hit me. But in my software career, I worked for quite a few startups. That was like my thing for 10 or 15 years, was joining these small startups, building their team and their software process, or excuse me, their sales process, hiring and scaling from, me to, maybe hundreds of sales reps and managers and leaders in between. I've done that a few times. And when you're at a startup, cash is king. It's how you survive without having to raise capital and give away the whole company in a lot of instances. And the way that you do that is by selling annual contracts. And it just kind of hit me like, this was maybe like 6 months ago. Like, why are we not selling more annual contracts? Because if I could get one of those a month from every facility, that'd be like 10 grand in my pocket every month for one customer per facility. If I could do that once a month, it's only 12 people across each facility each year that would pay that. Like, that would be so much extra cash in my pocket, right? So that's why we thought about that. It's not like some rocket science, but so Ali hired somebody on Upwork to start cold calling because you thought you'd burn out. Amazing. I love it. Start scraping Google pages through a script. But there's tons of scripts apps apparently, but I'm doing it the old fashioned way. Yeah, I bought the one-time purchase with a product called Lead Sniper. There's a link to it in the resources section of the school community. You guys can click over to it if you want. It's like $150 for one license, or you can pay like $250 for 10 or something crazy. You can have it all over the place or give it to other people. And literally you just go to the market that you want to scrape all of the storage facilities. You say self-storage, shelving, North Carolina. go, and it just ends up in a spreadsheet with everything that you need. And it's like, there's your lead list and it's ready to rock. There's another one that's in the resources called Google Maps Extractor. That's a subscription. It's like $39 a month versus the one time that Lead Sniper is, and it's the same thing. It kicks out like a pretty awesome spreadsheet. You just tell it what category you want, what city that you want, or what state that you want, and it goes and scrapes all of them. I love it. Ollie's making moves. Appreciate that. Just make sure. Here's the thing, dude. In my coaching program, the first module that we teach is how to underwrite, and how to underwrite really, really well, because it's the most important thing that we can do in this business. And if you're great at underwriting, then you probably should then create deal flow for yourself, not the other way around. Because what happens is that people start creating deal flow, but they don't know how to underwrite. And now they're like, oh no, what do I do? Is this a good deal? Is this a bad deal? Then they start leaning on all these, ancillary things on YouTube and Facebook feedback and all this stuff, and you're never going to get clean answers. And so for anybody that's hiring folks and doing want to get going on finding deals, amazing. Like, you have to do that. But if you don't have like fully trained on how to underwrite, then you're going to end up with deals in front of you that you're going to stare at and not know if it's a good one or not. Which, guess what? It's the number one question that I get when I just have conversations with folks that are, maybe interested in coaching, or they just want some help on how to get started, is like, how do I know what a good deal looks like? And the answer is that you need to learn how to underwrite. And it's the most important thing that we can do in this business, because it's going to give us kind of like that roadmap on whether or not that facility is going to be worth it or not. Or if it's not at that price, then what do we need to buy it at in order to make it a deal that works for us, either from a cash flow perspective or an equity perspective, things like that. And getting really good at that. So in the coaching program, so I'll get a quick commercial on that. So in about a week from now, I'll open up the July case study. So if anybody's thinking about, what I need to get involved. I need to learn all the basics and kind of the framework and everything to get going. I will be opening that up. I keep it small. 7 people a month is the cap. Sold out June, sold out May, sold out April, but now we're into July. It's growing. Got about 21 people in there now, which is awesome. And the first module that you'll learn in that is how to analyze deals. And you'll have my underwriter, which anybody on the call that has that's in the program knows it's not sophisticated or advanced. It's just very thorough. And it will give you the exact sort of way that facility could operate if it was to be, it's a value add opportunity. And now you have the confidence to then go create deal flow for yourself that allows you to confidently make decisions that, that deal's a good one or not, right? So that kind of thing. So stay tuned on that. Everyone will hear about, the July case study group. But underwriting's key. Great to create deal flow, man. Love it. Congratulations. I think it's awesome that you're making that investment in yourself, because it's just a way to replicate. But make sure that you've got very thoughtful underwriting skills, that you've underwritten. I was just talking to Will yesterday. Will, how many deals did you tell me that you've underwritten so far, roughly?
Like between 60 and 70.
60 and 70 deals he's underwritten, which, interesting enough, was about where I was when I found my first deal. And the thing that Will and I were talking about yesterday, which is cool, is that he's underwritten so many deals now using the underwriters and the tool, knowing how to do it, that he's now seen patterns in operating memorandums. So like, he can almost instinctively look at an operating memorandum and be like, oh, that's a deal, or yeah, probably not a deal. Like, without even doing the full underwriting, which is awesome. It's exactly where I got. It's how I designed like the 1-minute analyzer and the 5-minute analyzer was exactly that. It was like, what are these things that I'm seeing that are common in deals that look good and deals that don't look great? And it was just a couple of things. And so in the coaching program, which was a part of, little plug, you learn all that stuff, right? And you have access to the tools, and you have access to the underwriting tool that I paid a mentor, that same mentor that I mentioned earlier when I was at storage facility number 4, that taught me how to think bigger. I'll just share, I paid $10,000 to engage with that person, and it was worth its weight in gold, because he not only gave me the blueprint and the framework, but also the confidence, but he also shared that underwriting tool that I share with everybody in the coaching program. They have access to it. So, which is okay by him. He was grateful that I was sharing it with folks that are learning the business. So That's very, very awesome, Ali. Make sure that you get the underwriting done, man. Learn that part of the biz. It's so important. Cool. Right on. Any other last questions here in our last 60 seconds or so?
Nothing for me. Great call, everybody.
Awesome. Hey, as always, guys, I appreciate you showing up. Appreciate that you're here. Appreciate that you spend the time to invest in yourself. If you have any friends that are interested in storage and are interested in getting going, like, please invite them to these calls. It's a great way to hear what's happening out there, what's working, what's not. And we'll see y'all on Tuesday. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks. See ya.